A massive fight broke out on The View when tensions exploded over what many are calling Democratic Party deceit and betrayal. It wasn't just a heated debate. It was a raw, unscripted and fiery moment that pulled back the curtain on deep divisions within liberal commentary circles. The conversation spiraled fast into a showdown when Sara, usually mild-mannered, spoke her mind and shook the table. "One thing that really hurts me about the Democratic Party," Sara said, "is that the turn to criticize the people who support and stand by them. The people have lost trust in them. You can't criticize the people that line up more with you and care about you that way." Her words cut through the air like a knife, shocking even the audience, who couldn't believe what they were hearing.
But I do think one thing that really irks me on the left, and I don't really have a lot of faith in the right, so you tend to criticize the people that you line up more, that you care more about, and that would be the Democrats for me. People lost trust in them because the voters were saying there was a concern. There were people across the board saying they had a concern. And the Democrats said, no, over here, look over here. They told the voters what to care about, and they did not listen when the voters said they cared. So these stories come out aren't about beating a dead horse. It's saying if they could have a fair conversation that we heard you, we saw it as they saw it, they'd be gaining some of the voters back to say, okay, we're not going to keep saying that.
No, I don't. I think that I want to move on from why the Democratic Party lost, and I want to hear from the Democratic Party about how we are going to take our country back and how what they are going to do to combat fascism and what they're going to do to stop the Medicaid cuts that are going on, to stop giving tax cuts to billionaires, to stop taking federal workers' pensions away, to stop taking federal jobs away, to stop taking education away, to stop attacking our institutions, to stopping, why is this Trump administration stopping medical research, cancer? I want to talk about why this administration is giving refugee status to South African white Afrikaners as opposed to Afghans and Ukrainians and people of color. That's what I want to talk about.
What happened on The View wasn't just another spirited debate. It was a moment of brutal honesty, of political fatigue finally boiling over, and you're about to hear every second of it. Sunny hosting didn't let Sara's emotional plea slide. "No, I don't agree with that," she fired back, eyebrows furrowed. "I think I want to move on from why the Democratic Party lost, and I want to hear from the Democratic Party about how we are going to take back our country." She laid out her frustrations with rapid-fire precision. To stop giving tax cuts to billionaires, to stop taking federal workers' pensions away, to start actually delivering on their promises. That's what I want to hear. But just as the room started to shift into Sunny's favour, Alyssa Slotkin jumped in with a bold interjection that stunned even her co-hosts. 77% of Americans in 2023 were saying Joe Biden is the best nominee.
77% of Americans in 2023 said Joe Biden was too old to run again. And they were told, sit down, shut up, he is the nominee. And then when it became untenable and he stepped aside, they anointed Kamala Harris. There was not a primary, there was not a democratic process. And then when she lost, they said, don't look backward, we're moving forward, we're not even going to talk about why we didn't listen to you. We had Joe Biden here last week. It was an honor to have him. I think he is a good man. I do not think he could have been president for 4 more years. The hardest job on the planet. He was elected. I didn't vote for him.
President Biden took responsibility at this table, which is something that I'm frustrated with the Democrats. He said,
he did take
this falls on me. And I said that was the clearest answer of what people needed to hear.
The studio air turned thick with disbelief. The camera panned across stunned faces, viewers leaned forward, and just like that, this turned from a debate into an all-out ideological collision. The crowd buzzed. Commentators online went wild. And Sara wasn't done. She leaned in, voice steady but filled with urgency, repeating, the Democratic Party had developed a habit of eating its own. When you dismiss or attack your base for voicing concerns, you're not leading, you're losing them, she said, and they won't stick around forever. Sunny pushed back harder than ever, saying, you don't fix a country by whining about disappointments. We need a fighting plan, not fragile feelings. She made it clear that this wasn't the time to coddle disillusioned voters. Every single election matters. We don't have the luxury of second-guessing the candidate. This is about power. This is about policy. The conversation took a fiery turn when they began questioning whether the Democratic Party had strayed too far from the average American's struggles. Rising food prices, housing instability, failed healthcare promises. Sara called it all out. We promised change. What we got was silence and stagnation. Alyssa tried to rope the conversation back to optimism, pointing to polling and positive momentum, but the damage was done. The cracks in the party's armour were fully exposed for everyone to see. No editing, no filter, just passion, frustration, and truth. And at the centre of it all, the former US president, and still, to many, the party's leading hope. But even that's no longer a given, with numbers like 77% support being tossed around as fact and then met with side eyes and skepticism. It's clear that even his position isn't bulletproof. This fight wasn't just a disagreement, it was a warning sign. When hosts who usually toe the same party line start breaking ranks, you know something seismic is happening beneath the surface. And with 2025 on the horizon, that rumble may soon become a full-blown political earthquake. So if you thought daytime TV was all scripted fluff, think again. This was raw, this was real. And the Democratic Party just got called out live, unfiltered, and without apology.